So in this episode, we're going to be talking to the founder, Stephanie, of Starris Co Property Management, and we're going to be talking about everything that goes into having a short-term rental, how to get into an Airbnb, and what's the struggle, what has she's gone through in order to get to this point that she has multiple properties and making multiple figures. If you are interested in starting your own short-term rental with your property, definitely reach out to her. She can definitely help you out, get you on the right course on how to start. And remember, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to this video. Vamos, let's check it out. So today we got Steph. Who? Pew, 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 pew.
Oh, I wish you had the little sounds.
I know.
Hello.
Hi, we have Steph, the CEO of
Ooh,
Starris Co Property Management. And welcome to my podcast.
thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I know it's about time you're going to say that. I was like, let me stop playing.
I know. So we actually met, just so that it's a little bit of a background. We actually met because we used to work in a digital marketing agency, and you worked there, I worked there, and that's how we met. So that people know. And ever since, I don't know. I don't think you want to be my friend, but whatever.
That's not true.
But since then, we really got along, and we went to an event together that Daniela was doing, and it came out pretty good.
Yeah, it was really fun. He was a guest speaker, whatever, all the way to New York. Wow.
I was surprised that I was invited. I'm telling you right now, I was like, me? You want me to come all the way up there?
And you did. How'd you like New York?
Oh. I spoke to Adrina about this, and it's so funny because it's like I thought that all of Long Island was just all suburbs, no city. It was just the same houses that look alike all the way through.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
And I was wrong.
Yeah.
And I was wrong.
Yes. So I am originally from New York, but I am now in North Carolina. But when I go home, it's like it's home because I have family and I grew up there. But it's still now I'm to the point where like North Carolina is my home and I can't wait to come back home. Like I just feel like I always say this jokingly, but not jokingly. I'm like, New York is dirty. I always come back sick. I'll be there for like it depends, maybe a weekend or a week. I try to go longer now, but I'd be so over it. I'm like, okay, I need to come back home. But the downside is right now, like springtime, it's allergy season, so that's been getting me. My first year here, my allergies were wild. So it's gotten better, but the pollen here, it's no joke. So that's not fun. But I feel you on New York.
And right now you live where?
In North Carolina.
North Carolina, which is as gorgeous as Florida, I say.
Really? You've been here?
I haven't, but I have some friends that live there, and they've been trying to make me move. Like, it's so pretty down here, and I've seen pictures, and I'm like, yeah, it looks really nice.
Yeah, it's nice areas. I mean, I'm in Charlotte. I like it around here. Downside is in the summer though. Like I used to live in New York, like 15 minutes from the beach, and then now I'm 3 hours.
But New York Beach is not pretty though.
It's not, but I'm just saying, like, you could at least go to the beach. I can't. It's a whole weekend trip now if we want to go.
No.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. So I wanted to talk to you about a couple of things because I know I'm probably not going to catch you again. So
take advantage now.
Right. So for the people that are listening or watching, what exactly do you do? What's your profession? What do you do in this property management?
Okay. So it's funny because when we meet people, like Malik and I, my husband and I go out together and, they ask him what he does and he's a police officer. And they're like, oh, what do you do? And I feel like my mind goes blank because most days I feel like I don't do anything. I'm home. And then other days like he kind of tells me, okay, after we leave a place, he's like, why you act like you don't do anything? And then he starts listing all the things I do for the business. And I was like, oh, yeah, I do that. So I guess it's because it's not an exact title. I don't know. I guess what I say is we have a short-term rental business, which is mainly known as Airbnb. So when I say short-term rental business, a lot of people kind of don't know that unless you name the platforms. And I say I handle most of the administration and cleanings and the whole thing like from home, which does not take a lot of my time. So that's why sometimes I think it's in the back of my mind. But yeah, so we do rental arbitrage. So there's two ways you can do it is by owning these properties. So if you own a house and then you buy another house, that house you've lived in, you can put it on these platforms and continue to grow your portfolio that way by owning. But what we do is we get permissions from the owner. So if you bought a house and you're going to move out, but you want to put a long-term tenant, or I can come to you and give you all the pros and cons of letting me um, do my business model. So basically like subletting it. Um, then we put it on the platforms and stuff like that. So we have two apartment units that are 2 bed, 2 bath. We have a home, a family single home that's 3 bedrooms, 2.5 bath. And then we have a townhome, which is 2 bed, 2 bath, 2.5 baths. And we had like a condo, but we kind of let that one go because the numbers weren't making sense. And then we somehow got into managing other people's, which funny enough, it's come to us from our guests. So we never really went out there to look to handle someone's stuff. It's just that we accidentally would run into a guest that was staying at our place, and then they just happened to like continue the conversation with us where it's like, hey, do you do like co-hosting or management, because I'm buying a house here but I'm going to live in it half a year, so like do you do that? And of course, like we know we do it for ourselves, right? So it's not that hard to kind of handle somebody else's. So we have two of those, like two co-hosting. So basically we handle, damn, how many properties did I say? 4, 5, 6, or 5 right now, actually. And then we're working on another co-hosting, but that one's not ready to start yet. At one point, I think we hit 7, like we were handling 7 properties. But yeah, so I even forgot your question, but what it is exactly, I guess. Now the hardest part is setting something up. So when we set a property, that's probably the most work we put in physically. Maybe within 2 weeks. So you put in all the furniture, design it, all that stuff. After day-to-day type of thing is just the cleanings, but there's apps for that. So that kind of is automatically. But just keeping an eye on it because the app can have a glitch and then the place isn't clean and the guest checks in and you don't want that. So it's just really communication. I communicate with the cleaners. I communicate with like our runners and maintenance type of thing.
Now these rentals, you could technically only do it on the homes that you own, right? Not like, okay, I rent this space, I rent this condo here. You can still do it on those properties, right? Or no? Because you don't
What,
technically own it.
so 90% it has to be from the owner. I feel like now it's harder to get into a, a complex community that's like apartments. So we do have 2 of those in a community, which was one of our first ones. And I just feel like we got really lucky getting in, because then Airbnb gets a bad rep sometimes. So then these other complexes or building apartments places, they're like, no, that's not allowed here. But we do have permission from like the management for those two apartments. Um, we wanted to get more apartments, but like I said, it was harder to get in. Like everywhere we went after that, they're like, no, that's not allowed. No, that's not allowed. Because I really wanted one like in the city of Charlotte, like one that's like overlooking the city. Like that would be beautiful, but it's so hard to get into those places. So then we went after homeowners or like, for instance, the other guy, he owned the condo. So like he was, allowed to do that. So it's easier to kind of talk to homeowners to allow you to do that. But you can get into other places, it's just harder.
Yeah. I see a lot of videos on Instagram of people that do the same thing, and they make it seem so easy, and I'm sure it's not. Like, just do this, just do that, and it's like, I think there's a little more than that, but
Yes, I feel like mm, okay, so how it started was that we moved to North Carolina because my husband was pursuing he wanted to be a police officer. He got a quicker call here than New York. So we moved here. I didn't have a job and wasn't able to bring my car. So we like working off of one car. And I was just looking online, like, what can I do that doesn't require me to like go physically into a job? There's so many things now, right, that you can make money online. But one of the things that came up was like the Airbnb thing. And it was like this young guy, like not even 20 years old. And I'm like, come on, like, what am I doing wrong? So, like, if he could do it, I could do it. And I remember telling my husband one night, like, what if we start an Airbnb business? And I remember just going to sleep. Like, I just blurted out. And then the next day he was like, I've been thinking about what you said and it might not be a bad idea. And then I guess he started doing his own little research. And I've been very good with like interior design and stuff like that. And he's very good at talking to people and he has a background in sales. And so like combining both of our what do you call that? Combining his what he's good at and what I'm good at and just putting it together. Um so I would say that picking it from the ground, like from the idea to like an actually happening, it was more him. He did a lot of research. He got a course from somebody. There's a million of courses out there, but we didn't go for something really high. It was like someone who wasn't that big, like well known. So the course was like probably $300, which is on the cheaper side compared to like thousands of dollars. But during that course, he kind of got stuck at a certain point because, like you said, they make it sound easy. But as you're starting, you get your LLC and then there's all these other steps. And then we kind of got stuck at funding. And it's like, well, where are we going to get the money? I had a few $1,000s saved from when I moved out here. So that's kind of was our initial investment, but we still needed more. And when you're a new business, it's like, well, how do I get funding? And our credit and stuff like that. So luckily we got into this unit. They knew what we were doing, but the way that we got in was we basically signed it as a personal lease instead of a business. And now that's not recommended, but because you don't want to do anything under the radar, but because they knew, and within, I think the next year, we re-signed the lease, but then it was under our business because now we have a year in business and we have like a better score and credit and all that stuff. So I feel like we got really blessed in that aspect. Otherwise, I'm not sure how that would have gone. Again, maybe you find a homeowner and kind of go about it differently where they're not checking that type of credit, but you can sign it under your business name. But yeah, so that's kind of how we got it back up. And, when we went to talk to people, it was all my husband. I was just there watching. I would just follow him around and I'm listening. And after a while, I started getting the pitch down. And from there, it's all you learn as you go as well. Like at the beginning, we're like, we don't know what we're doing. And we were kind of scared and we really didn't know what we were doing, but we were just doing it. And then I think that's how you learn. Like anything else is just do it and learn as you go.
right. I agree with that. I think it's hard when you first get into a business that you know nothing about. And but the best ways to learn is to fail and just keep trying and keep trying. What are the some advice that you would give people that are starting from scratch that don't know shit?
um again, I feel like finding somebody that, like I said, there's so much out there, but I wouldn't go with someone really big that you get lost in their course or you don't get that one-on-one attention. I mean, now it's been about 2 years, so I don't think that much has changed, but I know there's courses where you kind of get more one-on-one attention and help. The one we got wasn't like that. It was like a one and done type thing, but um, any course would help, I think, from the beginning. That'll give you some steps and some guidance on what to do, and then you follow those steps. Um, a lot of YouTube University, how I call it. It was a lot of that.
Right.
There's books now too. So just kind of getting familiar with that field. Because once we started looking into that, we found this whole other community of people that do the same thing. Facebook was really big. There's Facebook groups that you can get into. And so everybody there is chatting about it, and they're asking for advice. So again, you just find the community and people that are in the business, I think has been the best thing. For us, it was like we found this whole new world type of thing. And then when we told people what we do, like the people that we know, they're like, oh wow, like that's so cool. Like they don't actually know somebody who does it. And so, and we don't either. We just found this community. But I was like, it's crazy that we think that everyone's doing it, but the people we know are like, that's cool, because we don't know anybody who actually does it. But I would say finding community or people that are basically on the same page as you, and you help each other out.
Right, right. And how do you find these, I guess, owners? Do you could just email them? Do you go to
Yeah,
their house and be
bas
like, "Hey."
um, Zillow. I think
Oh, yeah.
he was looking at Zillow. There's a site called Hot Pads. Anywhere, like if you're going to rent a home. So the same way you would look for a home for yourself that you want to rent is the same way. But I know that in the profile, you can tell if it's run by a company or by the owner, and you want to go for the actual owner. It doesn't mean that you should just pass the other one that's under management. You can still send out like the same email to everybody. Whoever gets back to you, it's when you kind of give them your business model. But it's sending out 100 and hoping you get like 5 people to communicate a little bit more, and you tell them what you do and stuff like that. And maybe out of those hundreds, you get one.
Right. And why business owners specifically and not a company? Is it harder?
Yeah, because you have direct contact to the owner, and like
Right.
they hold the power, like they can say yes or no. Some companies may not even get back to the owner, or they'll just straight up tell you no, or you just want to be direct. Like I'd rather get to you than to get through these
Right.
other
All the
people before
channels
you.
that
Yeah, exactly.
now this is for me because I'm kind of I guess the media is making it a huge scare, but I know a huge problem that's going on right now is people that are squatting in homes and you can't get them out. Is there like a clause in certain Airbnbs or stuff like that where it like you I don't know, that protects you against that?
Um, so I haven't looked too much into it. My guess would be though is depending, I think, on the state, but like I know most squatters get mail sent to the house, right? Like that's a way that they can prove that, like, hey, I live here, my name is on something. And maybe a way to stop that is putting on your listing or somewhere in there. We personally don't have that, but we probably had like one person ask if they can, no, maybe about 3 people ask if they can get something sent, like an Amazon package, nothing really through the mail. So I
Right.
think that might be a way to protect yourself, because I know that they need some type of proof. Obviously, their name's not on the lease. Like, how else are they going to prove that they're a resident there? I would say it's some type of paper, like mail paper. Um,
Right.
and I think that's
Um
more risky for like midterms, like people who are renting for a really long time, like they're there for a month. So I think that's the only way. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's it's kind of funny that I'm talking to you about this now because like a couple weeks ago I saw there was this Netflix series and I don't know what it's called. It's like Roomie or
Roommate.
Nightmare or something. Yeah, and
Yes.
one of the episodes was this guy who was a past lawyer, so he knew the law, and he
Oh,
would and these homeowners or people that were renting out their home for short term, long term, whatever the case was, there was like 6 people that were talking about it, and this one guy would move in for short term, and the day that he moves in, he doesn't pay rent, he doesn't pay anything. And it's like I it may not be, short term Airbnb. It might be a different, thing since it is a different thing. But it was scary to watch because it was like these people could not kick them out of their house at
yeah.
all.
And that was from day 1 he did that?
So yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
he was super nice, super relatable, and then once he came in, he was supposedly mean. He was very abusive, and they weren't able to kick his ass out
Yeah.
until they went through the process of like 30 days or whatever the
It
state
takes
was.
more than 30 days, yeah. I don't remember seeing that one. I don't know if there's a new season, but my husband and I did watch a few episodes, and him being a cop, he was like I cannot watch certain things with him because he'll be commentating and I'm like, "It's not real." He's like, "I know, but that would never happen. Like, that would never happen." A lot of them were females letting males move in with them, so that's wild within itself, like,
Right, right.
you caused that to yourself. But yeah, I've seen that and it's unbelievable that they're able to do that and how long it takes the law or like someone to legally get you out, and you have people in debt and paying still having to pay while living. I don't know, it was crazy.
No, it's crazy. I think about it all the time. I'm like, my mom would have quickly just grabbed their asses out, but like,
Right?
move
Oh my
so
gosh.
quick. And it's I don't know, I just seen that, and that's the thing that I think would scare me from going into, like, Airbnb kinda things, but maybe Airbnb has its own clause maybe to protect people that do 6-month rentals probably.
Yeah, yeah, there has to be because then why would you want to use their platform if you're not protected in some way? Um, what was I gonna say about that? Damn, I lost it.
It's okay. It's okay. And then, of course, once you get the funding together, you guys find a perfect person. I know on your properties, you obviously have to I think the fun part is always painting and decorating.
Yes and no.
Uh,
It's, no, it's fun. I think it's the probably the time when my husband and I bicker the most. It's so funny though, because we don't really, like, argue or fight like that, but, like, the bickering always happens when it's time to set something up. Because like, my to-do list for him is endless. Um
right.
But it's fun when it's completed and to see the work that you've put in. And you know me, I record everything. So even seeing the before and afters, like the process is just once we're done and we get the first few guests that stay and we get those great reviews of mostly people saying how it feels like a second home. It's like, wow, like it's a really good feeling. And we feel relieved and we're like, okay, that's done. So it's worth it, yes. But it is hard work because it's like imagine moving and when you move into your home, it takes time to make it your home because you're not going to like it's not going to be ready, right? Like every room, everything's not going to be ready. You take your time. But for this, it's like every day it's money that you're losing. So the longer you're taking, the more you're delaying it. And so it's like it has to be a quick process. And we've learned a lot along the way from how many we've set up already that I think the last one we did, I we actually recently we did a move. So um it was time to renew the lease for one of the apartments and it was very outdated. It was a 2 bed, 1 bath. And so we just decided to renew it but move into a newer unit which was a 2 bed, 2 bath. My husband didn't listen to me when I told him to block the dates of when we were going to move. So of course, we got a booking and it was a really good booking that came in during the dates that we were supposed to move. So what he did is he reached out to them, told them the situation. Luckily, they had like another place they could stay for 4 days. So we had 4 days to move everything from one apartment to the other apartment,
Um,
and we did it. We did it. literally like right on time before they had to like move, check back in. But because we've done it so many times, we assembled a team, which was a lot of our own family members. And it was like the quickest move ever because we just planned it out so good. So now we know that if we need to set something else up, it shouldn't take us more than a week. The first one we set up, that took us 2 weeks. So mind you, from
Oh
two
my
weeks
God.
to 4 days, I think we've come a long way.
I would have been on the phone with Aaron's with Rent a Center, be like, listen, I need furniture in here today.
Well, I think that's the other reason why it was so fast. It was because we already had the layout, we already had the design. We were literally just moving from one place to the other. And I think the only thing I had to purchase was everything for one bath because it was like an extra bathroom. And that was it. So that's probably why it was that easy because we didn't have to think about design or furniture. Everything was just moving. It was literally from like one building to the next. So we were just
Mm.
back and forth, which was great. But what I was going to say, it came back to me, was about, you're saying how it could be scary. You hear all these stories and stuff. Again, I feel so blessed because we haven't had a lot of these stories that we hear as well. We were in a Facebook group called, it was for super hosts because we're super hosts, which just means that you've gotten, um I don't know if it's 5 stars. I forget what the requirements are, but we just made superhost status, and there was a superhost Facebook group that we entered. But I had to get out because the amount of negativity that was in that group and the amount of
Mhm.
stories that was in that group, I'm just like, what? But what is it that you guys are doing? Like, I would talk to my husband about it. I was like, what do you think, like, I guess makes us different, that we don't have these problems? And I think my husband being a cop also, he's really good at just um vetting people. Like, he'll
Right.
ask certain questions as well. He has certain, like, I think, things set. So people who don't have any reviews can't book. Like, that's kind of sus. If you just made your Airbnb profile 2024 and you have no reviews, like, no, I'm sorry, like, you don't have a track record, right? So we look for people who've had previous reviews. um Now Airbnb did a thing of, you can't see the profile picture because I guess they don't want you to uh profile them through their profile picture. So you
Yeah.
see their pictures after you accept it. So besides that, again, we just look at the reviews. um he'll ask questions: why are you in town, what brings you to town, and all these things. And then we only have cameras at the front door so we can see how many people are coming in, stuff like that. So he's really good at that. So I feel like maybe that's the reason why we've avoided a lot of problems. He also, listens to his gut. So if he feels like something's wrong, he'll deny the booking or whatever the case. And so luckily, thank God, we've been good. The worst
Right.
thing that's happened, um, I feel like, and of course, it was the time that we're charging the cameras, right? So we didn't have any cameras. I feel like someone threw a smoke party. So,
You mean like a
when,
smoke or
like a
like a
smoke party, smoke
oh
party. Um, the cleaners went in and they started sending us pictures of ashes everywhere, like by this little fake plant that kind of looks like this on the little thing on the floor, wrappers. They removed the smoke detectors, like all of them around the house. It smelled like weed when they walked in there. And we
right.
were like, oh my gosh. So we took all the pictures. Now I mean, that was the worst of it. I think it could have been worse, like if the sheets or bunch of stuff were damaged, but it wasn't. It was just the smell and the stuff everywhere. So we were gonna put in a claim. My husband didn't do it on time, so we couldn't like get refunded or like fine them because there was a window. There's a window to put in a claim. And he
Mm.
thought he had more time, and next thing you know, like, it was too late. But again, it wasn't nothing crazy where we really had to replace like a table or something, that we came out of pocket. But if you do find things, you're able to put in a claim, and there is an insurance through Airbnb. We have insurance through Airbnb, but we also have our own like renters insurance or hosting
Mm.
insurance, I believe is called. So you're like double secure. But yeah, thank God nothing crazier than that. But people have really like bad horror stories.
But the thing is that that's a good thing that Malik does that, because technically you are vetting them, but it sounds like you're like, well, you could be interested in them, but it
Yeah.
does sound like you're interested in, their arrival and stuff like that. So it kind
Yeah.
of shows that vetting.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not saying that Malik doesn't care about their stay, but but
You
it's
know, he
almost
does.
like a win, right? You're being
Yeah.
nice and you're vetting them at the same
Yeah.
time.
And but you know what's crazy? Like, and I don't know if this is wrong, but I don't like that I can't see your picture. Like,
Yeah, that is weird to me.
I don't know. I guess it is. I don't know. I mean, I feel like profiling is a thing. Like, I don't care what anybody says. At the end of the day, like, you might, not that you're going to judge me, but you are going to get a sense of who I am by the way that I present myself.
Right, right.
So,
And
like,
what's the crazy
go
thing is
ahead.
also, I think they started doing this also with DoorDash and things, where
Hmm.
they're not putting their profile picture, only the name. And there are times where I order DoorDash, right? Which a person's coming to my house. So
Yes.
I would want to see their face. So and it'll be like Jose's on the way, and then all of a sudden I see a girl stepping out and I'm like, "Girl, your name is not Jose. You using your husband's name."
Yeah, that's
It's
dangerous
scary.
because
Right.
I
So
need to know what you look like. Who am I expecting? Yeah, that I didn't even know they did that. But like for us, there's times where we've accepted somebody and then the profile reveals and there was, and actually that one smoking party, it was this girl, a girl's name, I forget her name, but there was actually no picture. It was almost like covered.
that's sketchy to
Yeah.
me.
So I'm just like, and then after we put in the claim, she had replied and she was saying how her account got hacked and that it wasn't her, but that she knew who it was. But unfortunately, like again, we passed the limit, so nothing really happened with that. But I think that if they're gonna do that, at least make a requirement that your face needs, like, they, come on, the time we're in, like it should be able to be picked up whether your face is in frame or not.
Right.
So situations like that, and she had like a recently good review too, so that's where you kind of also can't go by that. Or um other profile pictures that have popped up after we accept them, it's like, I don't know how to say this, like it's just be a little ghetto. I don't even know how to explain it, but like it just looks like I don't know if I will let you stay at my place,
So
like I'm sorry.
it, it's
A
like
little,
someone holding a cigarette with like a Hennessy bottle or something.
yeah, exactly, like a Snapchat picture.
Oh
So
Lord.
it's like, come on, I don't know. And I'm like, do people not think like you're staying at someone's place? You think you would pick the most presentable picture of yourself? Not like you at a club. Like, I don't know.
And and it is important, right? Because even though you're not going to be there when they show up, but they're going to be around your personal items, right? They're going to be around things that matter most to you. So I think it's important.
I mean,
But
yes, especially like we don't have any valuables and stuff in there because it's not our place, that it's not our home, it's not where we stay. But the co-hosting, so the one guy that stayed with us who ran into Malik and asked him about, if we did management. He lives in California and he comes out here to visit his kids. So he lives here like half the year. Not consecutive, not like he's here 6 months and then he's gone 6 months, but throughout the months, there's sometimes he'll come in for a week or whatever. So he lives there though, but he's locked up. He's put locks on like certain places, so obviously they can't get into. But he
mhm.
also travels a lot and he has little memorabilia he brings back. So yes, like some places people do own or live or whatever the case, and you want to know who's going to come into your home. Like you have stuff in there. So I don't think that's fair with Airbnb. Um, Also, sometimes it seems that they are more pro the guest than the host, which doesn't make sense because we are hosting, we're using your platform. I feel like we're the ones making you money because they do take a percentage of like bookings.
Right.
So if there's any situation, it's always like, well, the guest, and we're like, come, what about us? But again, nothing where we've dealt with craziness. which is good.
Well, I mean, it's a good thing. And, if you already know, especially whoever's listening that already does Airbnb and stuff, if you know that, there can be a possibility, do what Malik does, talk to them and, ask them questions.
Yeah.
And I don't know, to me, it may be wrong, but I would make sure that all the paperwork's right. Make sure that everything's in order before you
Mm.
do all this
Oh, yeah.
because
Yeah. And there's
I
a
don't know.
lot of automation with it, which is good because again, um, the goal is to not be working like all the time. So I know for like the co-hosting, especially co-hosting period, because now you're handling somebody else's stuff, but co-hosting for someone's who lives in their home half a year, we really want to really vet the people. So he has like an automatic like little questionnaire. What are you in town for? What brings you, like stuff like that, that you can set as an automatic thing that once they book, it just pops up. So there's a lot of automation. So you don't have to answer or ask the same thing every single time something comes through.
And then the properties that you have or co-host, are they all in Carolina or
Yeah. 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 They're all
okay?
here in Charlotte.
Because I know that Daniela has one that's over
Mm.
there in another country,
Yes,
so
it's in Colombia.
I'm sure that's another legal situation over there.
Yeah, that one was a little bit different. We did speak and she had questions and stuff like that. Um, I think the difference might be I forget what it is that she needed to show that it was like an international number of something with that had to do with your business. I think I'm not sure, um,
Mhm.
but as long as you have a team, you can really do it anywhere. Um, Obviously, she has family there, so she kind of set up her systems and her teams to work.
Right.
It'll be the same if we wanted to do one in New York, let's say. It's like we have people, we know people, and that's how you would kind of set it up. And since we live here, it's basically like our backyard, we can always get to it. So it was easier to start in our own like area than to start somewhere first, you know?
I was so mad at my mom because she moved out of her house and she came to Florida, and instead of I wanted her to do the whole Airbnb and do everything, and she's like, I don't want to do that. And we have a lot of people up there, and she sold her house and I'm so angry about it. But I was like, we have people, if worst case scenario, I'll take a short flight out there and do what I need to do.
Oh, I
But
mean,
she didn't
yeah.
want
If
to.
she had you that you were willing to kind of take over the project, yeah. But it also depends, I think, with generation. Like, it's a generational difference where they might feel like, that sounds crazy, or how many people are going to be in and out my house, or like I think a lot of them just want to get rid of it. They don't want to deal with it.
I think that's right because even my husband's mom, she she well she used to have 6 months down here in Florida and then 6 months in Virginia,
Mm.
and she had a house on both, and I'm like, well, why don't you rent it out? It's sitting there. You're paying
Yes.
mortgage, so
Yeah.
just rent it out. And she refused, and I'm like, okay, I mean, it's her house, she could do what she
Right.
wants,
Right. But like, you could have
but
been
I
making some money.
right, and I think that is a generational thing.
It is, unfortunately, because you're like, oh my God, I see the vision. And yeah,
Right,
that's why a lot of
right.
people also give them to manage like property managements. We did meet this guy, he's a broker. Um, and he's all for like what we do, or talking to the owners himself, that he's like, okay, well, if I get somebody who will rent the house for you, but they're subletting, you know, is that allowed? And basically he came to us a few times like, okay, I have this other, we got this one family home from him, and it was like the easiest, most simple transaction ever because we didn't have to pitch him. He already knew what we did, so we went to go see the house. Everything was good. The first time, we obviously had to show like income and all this other stuff. By the second year, obviously we have a year working with him. Rent was always paid on time. There has never been any issues and stuff like that. So it's a good track record that the second year he's like, oh, listen, I have this other town home. And again, it's like he already works with people who are okay with what we do. So it's that much easier if you find, I mean, basically that's a hookup, right? Like if you find someone who works with already owners that are
Right.
willing to allow that, it's like seamless. It's so quick. Um, and yeah, so I feel like that was helpful for us as well. Just somehow finding people. A lot of it I feel like has found us. We really only looked for the the first apartment,
That's
and
good
then
though.
everything else kind of came to us. The co-hosting came to us, that broker came to us like, "Hey, I found another unit."
Mhm.
Oh, we found an investor through Facebook group. Like Malik put out something through a Facebook group looking for an investor for Airbnb. I forget the exact wording. We had a couple people like inquire about it. He got on the phone with this one lady, and then she sent us $10,000, which we were like, "What? Who does that?" I mean, we were super grateful, but I was like, "Yo, if like, I don't know, that's a lot of trust, right?" Because we could have just taken her money, um, and then she could have been something like, who knows, a scammer too with us. But it all worked out,
Right.
thank God. And that's how we set up one of the properties. So Facebook group really came in clutch for that. That's when the same guy reached out to us and said, "Oh, I have a townhome," and then we got the investor, and then we did the whole thing, which is crazy. Um, we also have a mentorship, which we didn't think we would go into. My husband did a, I mean, it's not, I mean, I don't know if it was a podcast. It's not like a podcast like this type of setup. It was more like an interview with a real estate person that's really big here in Charlotte. And we didn't know that he was like that big. We just
Nothing.
got connected again through somebody. And he was just interviewing people who did the business. So my husband did the interview with him. It was on Facebook. I mean, it was on YouTube. And then literally a year later, I got a DM, and this lady reaching out to me. She's like, "Hey, I just saw the video of Malik and so, and like we just started talking. So we got on a Zoom call with her. She wants to do the same thing, but she needs guidance from people. She had purchased a previous course where they promised to get that guidance, like one on one. But this person was also very big, that they had like a bunch of students. So she felt like she got lost in that and wasn't getting the one on one guidance, like hand holding. And so she's like our first mentee. And it's just crazy the doors that have opened that we didn't think we would do from just one property. Like there's so many different avenues.
Wow, that's insane. But that's the blessing right there.
Yeah.
Like you don't even have to put in like in the beginning, obviously there's so much work, but then after it's almost like putting the pieces in place and everything just coming to you.
Yes. Amen.
That's amazing. And you do courses as well, right? Or you not yet?
Like if we have a course,
Do you and Malik do courses?
like if we take them, or if we have a
If
course that we,
if you have a course to give to people
oh
to
no.
learn.
Womp, womp,
Damn, girl, you
womp.
need to. You guys could be making extra money,
Yes, that is very true.
but that's
Um,
next, right? Hopefully.
yes, 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 yes. Hopefully. I mean, it's really about writing down what we do, right? Like putting them into modules type thing. So definitely, probably we do right now. We're in the middle of wanting to like revamp our places, because that's another thing. After things are just steady, I think a lot of people tend to get comfortable, and then boom, you get this bad review because you never took care of that little thing that someone mentioned to you months ago, right? So things fall under the cracks. So right now we're trying to get a little more funding as well to go into each property and just revamp some things. Um, and depending on how much funding we get, we might just get another home or something. So if that happens, I think I'm basically going to document it, or whether it's video or writing it down, to then that'll help me create like a course. So you kind of like have this step by step walkthrough type thing. That's definitely another avenue. It's just about doing it. Um, and someone told me to like to sell like templates and stuff that are used inside the home. So we have a guide for each, not for each, but like for two or three of our places, where someone comes in, what's around town, where to eat, who to call, the nearest emergency, like all that stuff that you need to know. Um, pass Wi-Fi information, checkout instructions. I think that's pretty much it. That's like actually in the home. Although these things are in the listing itself, some people don't read. Like you tell them the same thing. The Wi-Fi, it's in the listing, it's in the instructions when
Right.
you are about to check in, it's in the property, and then they still message you like, hey, what's the Wi-Fi?
It's so funny because I went to Kentucky and we had like a big family thing on my husband's side. And we rented a big Airbnb. And let me tell you, there was a binder like this with everything in there. And at first, I'm like, that's a lot of instructions. But it was like, it was extremely helpful because I'm like, oh, we could go here. We could go. It was so much fun to just go through that
Yes,
book.
yes, that part. Places to eat, I think, is obviously a big one. For the most part, all of our places are in a good area. Um, there's one that's near an airport, like it's near the airport, which is good, right, for people who are traveling, but there's not much around there because it's like they're just building everywhere. So it's just kind of like a lot of land construction and stuff like that. But it's not too far either. Like here, a 10-15 minute drive to something is not that far.
That's nice. And other than rentals, what else do you do? You still in the social media world, digital marketing world?
No, um, that kind of stopped. I don't even know how or when. It just wasn't. It just stopped. I guess also just doing the business that took more focus. But I
Right.
was like, it was a network marketing company. It was a hair product. Well, they have a bunch. It was hair, skin, stuff like that, vegan stuff. And it did well, and I learned a lot. I think mindset was the biggest thing that I've learned when I started that. I think towards the end, obviously, you get, I think, discouraged when you don't see the growth. But a lot of those things is like building a team under you, right? So, like, almost recruiting people under you. The problem with that is like it's another level to try to keep other people encouraged and motivated. And I can tell you so much to believe in yourself, but if you're not going to believe in yourself, there's nothing I can do or say to make you work, no
Right.
matter how inspiring a story can be. So I think that I got very like annoyed with, or people would sign up and then fall out. And yeah, I was just like, okay, I got to do something else, which is just really based on the business. After work, where we were working together, I was doing video editing. So I kind of picked up some side clients. I do love content, like for my own page and stuff. I do certain things. Wish I got paid for it, but I don't yet. But I always loved that the video editing, the creating something. Um, so I started video editing for other people who have small businesses, and then now I'm kind of switching over to social media management, which is what I used to do as well at the company. That's what I finished doing, was account manager. So I took what I learned, and just applied it in, and picked up a client. And I just kind of been doing that and working to hopefully pick up another client. So if I get like two or three, I'm like set, you know.
Right.
Luckily, we're in a position where like I don't have to go to work, and I don't want to at this point. Um, I just can't. Ever since, again, with the network marketing thing, even before that, I just feel like I'm just not that person to go to work for somebody. Like,
And
one,
that's
to go
okay.
show up, like go show up. It's been years, right? Since before COVID. Like, I just not trying to go nowhere. Um, and then from our previous job, right? It was just like the tedious, like micromanaging. I just can't. I can't do it. And I think, and you probably say now, after since you started your business, it's like once you're your own boss, it's like, come on, I don't know. You can't go back.
I know. I'm almost the same way. I have my own business, but I also work for another business, and it's
Mm,
a 8 to 4 p.m. kind of business. But the thing is, it's not full time. It's more like contract. Like it's like, okay, work for us for 3 months and then we're done. Work for 3 months. So it's
gotcha.
so I
So
think
you
I
can
do it because I
decide
just
to
like
pick
money.
up another contract.
Right, right.
Got
So I can decide to pick up 3 different contracts if I wanted to. So it's yeah, technically I work for them, but I still almost I could still run my business at the same
Yeah.
time. I could still do what I need to do.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
and I think it's because
Yeah.
I like money.
Yo,
Even though
I
money's evil, guys, money's evil, but it
no,
has to be paid the bills.
no, it money, that's another, I think that's is that a misconception or something, or read wrong? Like money is not evil. It's the love for the money.
The-
Yes.
yes.
The love
Yeah.
for the money, and so it depends. Like obviously you can love money because you can help others, or you can love the money because now you're going to buy yourself a whole bunch of mansions and be greedy, like, right? So it's just what you do with it and your intentions with it. And I say that because like Malik's grandmother, she likes to say that a lot. And we're like, it's not money that's bad, it's the love of money. um
Yeah, it's just
She's so sweet.
it's
Like when we would set up properties, she'd be like, "You guys are overworking yourself. You're gonna kill yourself." Like, because there was one time we had to move. No, we were setting up a property, and I believe the following week or so, we moved out of like his parents' house to our own place. And then like a month later, we were setting up somebody else's property. And so she felt like we were constantly like working all this time. And we're like, listen, like we are tired because it's from morning to night. And sometimes like one meal, because when we're so busy and we're working and we're in a groove, like you forget to eat, right? And it's like the most exhausting time. But again, let's say you have one property, your first year, the hardest you're going to work is that week or two that you're setting up. And after that, the rest of the year, you're just maintaining it. So it's
right.
really, compared to like how he would tell his grandmother, like, if I was working like a dog somewhere or in construction every day from morning to night, like for the whole year, he's like, that's working yourself hard. He's like, but if I only have to work this hard for 2 weeks, like, come on.
Yeah, it's not that bad. I mean, working for yourself, it is kind of difficult because you technically work 24/7, but it the rewards at the end and the benefit at the end is a
Oh
lot more
man.
better than working for someone else 9 to 5.
Yes. And it depends. Like, yeah, you do work 24/7-ish, I feel like. But if you have systems in place and time management and stuff like that, it really doesn't have to be like that. And it also depends on what you do. Um, which is why I like what we do, because it's really not like we're dealing with, I don't know, clients daily or something that, like, if you're designing for 10 people, right, within the same time frame, you're constantly dealing with back and forth of all these clients, where
Right.
we don't. We have something set up. People are staying 4 nights, 4 to 7, sometimes a month. So like it's not that demanding.
Right. Um, I just wanted to finish up because I know you have to leave soon. Um, but is there any last words? Can people find you on social media?
Ay, yes. Oh my god, my poor social media. Don't don't judge me. They're like, "Oh, look, we just got a new booking." I love that. Um
Ooh.
my social media has been suffering. At least my business one. People are like, "She said she loves social media. She don't even when was her last post?" Listen, let me tell you about my camera roll. It's crazy in there. I have it's like so much potential like content. It's just about digging through the files and stuff like that. But yeah, my what is my Instagram? Let me see. My business Instagram. So it's Starris, STARRIS_co. And you know what's funny? So because you had asked me how you pronounce it, so Starris is just my name mashed together. Stephanie Harris.
Oh, I didn't even notice.
Basically my husband stole it for the business before we knew we were gonna have a business. I kind of created that because I was going to start um like a media, like my services, right? So like for editing, let's say, and I was gonna get my LLC for that, and I was looking for names, and I'm like, what the heck do I? How do you name something? And then I don't know, it just came up, and I was like, oh, that's my name, whatever. And then when it came time for the business, he's like, can we just use what you used? I'm like, okay, I guess. He's like, I mean, it was your idea, and I'm like, okay. But that's funny. I don't know. People don't really know, but I mean, they don't know how to pronounce it, but it's just literally made up.
It's okay. The same thing happened to me. People are like, "I thought your name had two B's in it," and I'm because it says Rob, and I'm like, "No, it's just when I filed for an LLC, there was another Rob, so I couldn't pick so I just added another B. That's all."
Oh, okay, I got you. They thought it was one B. I mean, you're like, yes, but no.
Yeah, but in order for filing in the government situation, I just added that B.
Yes.
But thank you for
What
coming.
sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, where did you because I mean, I think one of the first things for us was getting an LLC. So how'd you go about doing yours or getting yours?
Um, I think I already knew the process. I forgot where I think I just did a whole bunch of research, but I
Mhm.
think I just went to the Florida State, the sunbiz.org. That's for Florida specifically. I don't know where the other ones are, depending on what state, but I think I already knew the process ish
Yeah, yeah,
because my
yeah.
mom is an accountant and she works with businesses all the time. So I kind of have the idea of okay, I need
Gotcha.
to file this paper, this paper, this
Yeah, yeah,
paper.
yeah, yeah. Okay, so yours was probably cheaper because for people that don't know the whole process, there's a ink file, I believe,
Um,
and there's another one. So it's a couple $100, but they basically send you like here's what to do step by step. You submit it and it's like done. Yeah.
wow, I gotta check that out. There was one something like that when I got married, and they send you a whole packet of step by step how to change your name, how to change everything.
Yes, I
Eh,
did this.
th-
So I did the same when I changed my name because it's a whole thing. But legally, my Stephanie used to be my middle name. And I never liked my first name, which you're never gonna know, so don't ask me.
what's your first name?
It's not anymore. I erased it, it's gone. Um
Listen, anyone that's listening to this podcast finds out her first name.
Oh no, there are a few that know. There's a few that know. You know what's
Uh,
so okay, so it was my grandmother, my dad's mother's name. We never even got along. I don't know if she really liked me anyways, but I just never liked the name. It was very like just
was
Hispanic,
it? Yeah, Hispanic.
like an
Yeah,
old
I get it.
lady, yes. And people couldn't get it right. And for some reason, they would forget that there's like an A. So it's like if you take the last letter, it's a man's name too. So the A makes it a
Mm.
girl's name, right? But in English, when they would try to say it, it's like they forget the A and I just sound like a dude. And it's just, I don't like it. Never liked it. So I went my whole life where like, no, like Stephanie, like call me Stephanie. I'd go to my teachers, the whole thing, right? So then when I always wanted to change it, but I never went through the process. And then when I got married, I was like, well, I'm a kill. What is it?
You're right.
What's that
Two
saying?
birds, one stone. Yeah.
Yes. So I got it removed. I took out my first name, kept Stephanie, and then took changed my last name. And then but now the funny thing is legally I don't have a middle name anymore. Because I wasn't gonna pick some random middle name. I just wanted to remove the first one. And I didn't get a chance to update my passport though. I have to do that. And when I went on the cruise, um, they went by your passport name. So the whole time they're like calling me. I'm just like, oh my gosh. So that's how I got outed one time because you have to do reservations on your phone. And one of my friends I was with, she's like, Steph, I can't find you. And then I was like, oh my gosh. So I had to tell her. And she started laughing. She's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that used to be your name. And like, how funny. And I'm like, yeah, it's not funny, but
Oh wow. I when I got married, I was gonna change my last name. Obviously, change my last name, but only because you know how Hispanics put the father's last name and the mother's last name together with a hyphen. I had that for all my life, and I just hated a hyphenated name. Um, Especially, I have dad issues and stuff like that. But
you want to
but
remove that.
I wanted to remove my father's last name, and so I'm like, oh, perfect. I get married. I could just change my name, even if I don't take his name. I'll just change it to what that my mother's last name, and that's it. But it was too much of a process, and I ended up not changing my name. And I'm like, whatever.
Oh my gosh. No, yeah. So I did it through Inkfile, name change, and it wasn't that expensive. And they sent me a packet, but all the paperwork I had to fill out, where I had to go. And I was just like, wow, that like, my whole life that could have been so simple.
But
Do you,
that's good to know because I didn't know there was one for businesses.
yes, I I mean, if you Google it, I don't want to say it wrong. I'm sure it's ink filed, but there's that one that helps with a bunch of other things, and there must be another one out there for business, but it's like a one stop shop. And so if you pay,
Wow.
you can do it a cheaper way and go through the whole hassle. But if you pay 100 more, that's like, just tell me what to do.
I
So,
think that's how the marriage one was for me. So it was like $50 where they just tell you they'll send you everything that you have to do or whatever. And then $100 if and if you pay $100, they'll send you a packet with pre-stamp. So all you got to do is fill out the paperwork, put it in, and
oh,
ship it.
that's next level. That's
Yeah,
super lazy package.
so it's amazing how these things happen, how these things are made.
Yeah, there's just so much information out there. So I think anything you want to pursue, do your little bit of research. Now, one thing I will say when starting the business, that a lot of your income from the business is going to go back into the business. So I say that because it's like with us, sometimes in our family, it's like comments where like, oh, like Steph's the one with the money. And it's like they think you have all this money. And so listen, it has a lot of pros in your life to have your own stuff and the amount of things you learn and just time freedom, I think for me has been the biggest thing to do what I want when I want, right? But like I think now we're entering, I don't even know anymore. Oh my gosh. I know it's 2 years. So we're like 2.5 years, I think. And so until now, I feel like we're starting to see like the fruit of our labor, right? Where we're paying ourselves a little bit more and nothing crazy either, but better than when we first started. So again, like you're getting all this money. Mind you, we have to pay rent, right? So a lot of it, you have to pay the rent of the place you're going to. You're paying back if you took out credit cards to buy the furniture. You got
Right,
stuff to pay, subscriptions. Um, the cleaners kind of pay themselves because they pay a cleaning fee, so that's not really coming out of pocket. But all these expenses that at the end of the day, if you want to revamp or get something new or whatever, it's like it goes back into the business. Um, but after a while, you'll start to see the fruits of your labor, which I feel like that's where we are now. But it's still not like you're going to be super rich unless you somehow can get 10 properties at once, you know.
right,
I think 10 is the sweet spot. Like I said, we've been like at 5 or 7, and that does okay. But the more properties you have, obviously adds up and you will have more of an income. So sometimes I feel like you can do one to experiment. And I think if you're an owner, obviously, like your mortgage might be cheaper, right? So you'll make more of a profit where we have to, let's say the house that we have, right? We pay rent to that homeowner, but then the homeowner also has to make their income. So it's like a lot of people trying to make their profit. Um, but yeah, I still think it's worth it. But I'm just saying, like, when you have a business in general, people always look at you like because you own a
you're
business, you
rich.
have all this money.
Right,
I don't
right.
know if
I
you
think
could
it's
relate to that or you think people like think the same, but it's like, okay, we got bills, okay, and we still gotta pay for stuff.
I think late last year is when I started actually seeing just a little more of what I made. I opened my business in 2020 and I was like negative. I didn't know how I was going to pay for everything. I was losing money and not until, 4 years later now I'm starting to see a little more and I'm like,
Yeah.
"Okay.
Isn't that
Okay."
crazy? That is so crazy. And luckily, like again, for us starting, one of the scariest thoughts was what if we don't make rent because we have to pay rent. So like forget us making a profit, it's just can we pay rent? And
Right.
thank God, again, just we've just been so blessed. We haven't had a month without. There has been months that have been pretty tight. Like the slow season is like February, March. So we kind of just made it. Like we just made it. And right now it's gonna be like peak season, depending where you are. There's different seasons,
Right.
but even through like the slow ones, we've like made it. So thank God. But it's all about systems in place, the way you communicate, and vetting these people to not ruin your stuff.
That's why I always tell all these people that are in like the website business kind of thing, website design business. I'm like, you don't know how important it is to put yourself in a budget. Like, I don't know how important it is because they people think I'm crazy, but I budget a year in advance. Okay, so I know from today how much I'm gonna have money in December.
That's awesome.
Oh, but it's yeah. I like money. I like to budget and play with all that and numbers. But the thing is, I have to make sure that I have enough to pay all my bills. I have enough
Yeah.
to whatever, and I think that's very important that people. I don't know. To me, it's common sense, but other people they've never budget. They never did this before, so
Yeah. Yeah, that's very true. But you learn as you go, like you said, and it
y-
takes time. It takes time to see like your hard work and stuff like that. But I think if you love what you do, right? Like for me again, like we love to host people in our own place. Like I love to host. So like just hosting and creating a place for people to come and stay and feel like it's their home away from home is like the best thing. And that's where I've gotten better at design. Like I feel like it's been hard for me to acknowledge that that is a gift of mine because I just feel like, well, everybody knows how to like put a living room
right.
together. Because people are like, Steph, you got that eye, and like you're, and I'm like, I don't think it's a big deal, right? But then now, the more that I go into people's homes and stuff like that, I'm like, okay, I see how I can do things a little better. Or I would put this here, like I see that. So I'm finally admitting it, like, okay, yes, I'm good at that. But I think it's sometimes it is intimidating when you see like I wouldn't call myself an interior designer. Like I don't know, that feels a
Why
little
not?
weird. I don't know. It feels like very professional, like I don't know, like you went to school for it. I don't know. And I'm just like, I self-taught, I guess. Like I don't know. But with each property, I have learned and I've gotten better. And it's fun to think outside. Like it's like having many homes also. Like each one is styled differently that I don't have in my personal home. And so it's also giving people an experience that their home doesn't look like that either, but they would probably love for their home to be like that or whatever. So the most heartwarming reviews have just been, like I said, when they say like it was so homey, like it feels so cozy, because those are the things I want people to feel. So again, because I love it, I think is why we do well and why we don't feel like it's work.
Mm,
So just make sure you love what you do. Is my point.
right. You ever thought about adding interior design into your property management business? Because that would fit just well, right?
What do you mean?
Interior design. If someone were to
Um,
if you're if someone comes up to you to manage their property, but they're like, "Hey, I have no furniture. Can you here's my budget. Here's the money. Can you design it?"
yes, and we have actually, yeah.
Okay.
So we had
So you're an interior designer. That's it.
Yes, I'm that too, I guess. I have to like write these things down when people are like, so what do you do? I just feel like it's so many, right? So many avenues. Like, how do I even put all of this into one thing? Um, but we had again somebody who saw the same interview that my husband did, who happened to be a friend of my husband in New York. She's seen it on his page and she was like, is that Malik? Like, I know him, right? So she reached out to him and then she's, there in New York and she's like, we're actually moving to Charlotte and it would be so cool to work with you. And we want to kind of get into that business. So if we have everything set up before we move, like being able to keep it on the platform and you guys manage it, all that stuff. So mind you, they're in New York. They just came out here to buy the house, gave us the keys right away, and gave us like again like the budget. We worked together a little bit on the design. I know there was like an office, and her husband had designed it, and it came out so cool. Um, but like brainstorming together, and we set it up for them, and that was fun too. So that it comes with it basically. Like even with the mentee, like whenever it's her time to find a place, that's also included. It's like we would either give her a design and she would do it, or we can do the setup, which is basically the same thing. So yeah, you're right. It is. It can be included, or it couldn't even be a separate thing. If someone's like, "Hey, design my space," which people have, and I've kind of done it virtually. If they send me a picture of their room and they're like, "Stuff, what can I do here?" I'll put little things together and send them like a weird, not professional sketch, but I'll do my best. And they implement it, and I'm like, okay, that's pretty cool to even do it virtually. But yeah, I just think everybody has a different style. So if you wanted a luxury look, like that's not me, right? Like everybody has their own thing. So maybe that's it. I think that when I think interior design, I think like lavish, like $1 million houses. And so I wouldn't know how to design that because it's not within my personality, I guess. So I think that's a different way to look at it. So if you want homey, cozy, then that's me.
Yeah, I'm almost the same way. Right now, our house is eclectic because ever since we moved in together, it was his stuff and my stuff, and we just put it
A
together.
mashup
So it
of
looks
you both.
right. So it's weird because I'm more of a cream and black type of, modern look, where he's more of that oriental Japanese kind of look. And I'm just like,
Mm,
which could go together, which
yes.
could go together. But I don't know. I may have to call you and hire you
Yes.
because it's not working.
Let me see what I can do. For us, it's been very easy because we both moved from just having our own rooms. And then when I moved, I basically sold everything I had. Because I'm like, I saw his furniture set. I'm like, okay, we can work around that. And it's funny because when we first started dating, I actually did a makeover on his bedroom makeover, and that's when he said that he was like, okay, I'm gonna keep this girl. So really, yeah, and then little by little, he just lets me do my thing. So it's whatever I want to do. He doesn't really care for it, but yeah, hit me up. Send me some
Yeah.
pictures. Send me a video.
Trust me, I will. Trust me, I will. Um, I'm trying to get comfortable here. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
I don't know. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
Not really. I feel like I want to get you back on, but I don't know if that's gonna happen.
Come on. But then what will we talk about then?
Well, we'll figure it out. Well,
Life,
listen, I want to
non-business.
talk about it. Right. I want to talk about
Yeah.
everything. I want to talk about religion, spirituality. I want to talk about politics. I want to talk about everything.
Oh my gosh. That
So that's the
I'm
type of thing I
down.
want.
I'm down for
Yeah.
that. I got a lot to say. My little rants, like your TikTok rants. I'd be like, yes, yo, your TikTok. I don't think have you been posting lately on TikTok?
I haven't because it I'm not gonna lie, it gets very tiring because you have a lot of people that are haters, and
Uh,
I I've been banned out of TikTok like 3 times
because you speak the truth.
because I speak the truth. That's what it is, and I have to fight every single time to get it back. But I took a little
Gotcha.
break. I did take a little break, but I'm with this podcast. I'm hoping that it could go right back into it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, yeah. I remember going through it and I'm just like, he's speaking. He is speaking.
Mm.
That's why. Listen, if you don't got no haters, you ain't doing nothing right. No, but yeah, definitely I'm down for that. I got things to say.
All right,
So
let
stay
me.
tuned for the next part 2, non-business Gaga talk.
Right.